Chapter 658, Two Cuts. Mayumi Takeuchi's mood was slightly worse today. One reason was because she sensed a dangerous atmosphere in today's battle. But that was not the main reason. The main reason was that someone had unexpectedly escaped her divination and suddenly appeared around Jiangning Square. She didn't realize it until the other party was within 3 kilometers of them. This feeling was the first time she had experienced since awakening her abilities. And it was precisely because she had failed to predict the arrival of the enemy from the southeast in advance that it had caused some subtle unpredictability in today's battle plan. The encounter between the 3 Tsukamoto Nobunagas and Chen Xiaoxiao and Peng Li was a bit dramatic. The 3 Eclipse Moon members treated them as members of the Tenjin squad and did not dare to be careless. Chen Xiaoxiao and Peng Li, however, were panicking inside when they saw that there were 3 Eclipse members here. Damn it, why did they have to show up at this very moment? If they had shown up earlier, at least Zhang Yi, Liang Yu, and Hua Hua would have been by their side. With 5 against 3, they still had hoped that they could delay for a while and wait for the support of the heavenly team. But now there were only the 2 of them, so what could they possibly do against the others? Peng Li's heart was pounding. Using the communication device, she asked Chen Xiaoxiao, "What should we do? We can't fight them. Should we run?" "No, stay calm." Chen Xiaoxiao decisively rejected her proposal. She looked at the other side's Nanako Agatsuma and Nobunaga Tsukamoto. Takashi Takizawa was a remote alien who used a super electromagnetic gun to attack, so they still had a chance if they wanted to escape. However, Nanako's Kamaitachi excels in speed. There aren't many images of Nobunaga Tsukamoto in the video recording, because he was too fast to kill an alien squad. If these 2 people are here, if they escape, they will only make the other party realize their weakness. In that case, there is no chance to escape. Calm down, we have found their trail, which is already part of completing the mission. Chen Xiaoxiao opened the communication channel first, and after some thought, she opened Zhang Yi's communication channel as well. "This is Chen Xiaoxiao and Peng Li. We found the Eclipse members in the southeast direction, a total of 3. Headquarters had already discovered the situation through surveillance equipment when they encountered them." Zhu Zheng's gaze immediately shifted over. "Their people have finally appeared again? Now, there are only 4 people who haven't made a move." He knew that Peng Li and Chen Xiaoxiao definitely could not win against these 3 people. So he was the first to open a communication channel with Zhang Yi. "Zhang Yi, Chen Xiaoxiao and Peng Li have encountered Eclipse Moon members. They can't hold out for long, you have to go over there and support them immediately." Zhang Yi had already received Chen Xiaoxiao's message. He slightly raised the corner of his mouth and said indifferently, "Received, I'm already on my way." There are only 3 people on the other side, and Zhang Yi has already estimated the strength of the 3 people, and he, Liang Yu, and Hua Hua are more than enough to deal with them. So this battle is 3v3. Oh, by the way, why isn't it 5 versus 3? Because Zhang Yi doesn't think Chen Xiaoxiao and Peng Li can be of much help. Even if they can, he doesn't need these 2 people to share the spoils. You should know that the headquarters has set a very high point reward for each Eclipse member. "Let's go, but we don't need to rush," Zhang Yi said indifferently. At the very least, they wanted Chen Xiaoxiao and Peng Li to know how conceited they were and pay the price for their arrogance. As for whether they would die, what did it matter to him, Zhang Yi? They weren't even close friends. Even if they died, Zhang Yi could still complete the mission of the southeastern route. He could even complete the mission beyond the expectations of the headquarters. Chen Xiaoxiao and Peng Li stood in the same place, remaining vigilant, but they did not dare to attack or flee. They were extremely nervous, and they only hoped that Zhang Yi, who was closest to them, or a member of the Divine Squad, would come to their rescue. However, the people from Eclipse Moon sensed something unusual. Nobunaga's ears twitched slightly, and he heard the rapid heartbeat of the 2 people. That was the heartbeat caused by excessive tension. If these 2 people were really members of the special forces of the Jiangnan regional headquarters, they would never have reacted like that. Could it be trash fish? Seeing their wary appearance, Nobunaga was even more convinced of what he had in mind. Just give it a try and we'll know. With that in mind, he and his sword charged out like lightning. In midair, accompanied by a clang sound, the Daihanya Nagamitsu's sword cut through the air like a white streamer. Chen Xiaoxiao and Ping Li knew they had been exposed and yelled, "Be careful." The two had long been prepared for battle, so their superpowers were activated instantly. Two streaks of white light appeared on Peng Li's hands and connected to Chen Xiaoxiao's body. Her ability is, which can enhance Chen Xiaoxiao's strength, speed, and defense, and can quickly heal her from all non-fatal injuries. Chen Xiaoxiao, on the other hand, stood in front of her, and the ability of the strengthening system blessed her body. She pounded her two long, well-trained legs on the ground, and a circle of blizzard spread from under her feet, quickly expanding in a circle towards the surrounding area. At the same time, the bottom of the long white boots she was wearing on her feet popped out a long blade with a clang. Facing Nobunaga's unadorned but extremely fast slash, she performed the Brazilian battle dance and used the blade on her right foot to block it. Bing! The blades collided, and the immense force directly sent Chen Xiaoxiao flying. However, she gracefully landed in midair and then deftly danced on the snow. Nobunaga gazed down at his feet. The ground had been frozen by her into a huge ice rink. Donning ice skates, she began to spin rapidly around Nobunaga, looking for the right moment to strike. "Oh?" Nobunaga said indifferently. He did not try to catch Chen Xiaoxiao's movements, and even in front of the two of them, slowly closed his eyes. A field with a radius of 50 meters centered on him began to appear. This was one of his abilities, Tian Yuan. With himself at the center, sitting in the center of the chessboard, within a radius of 50 meters, all is within the range of his sword. Chen Xiaoxiao danced rapidly on the ice, looking for Nobunaga's flaws. However, in the process, she was surprised to find that Nobunaga, who had assumed the sword-drawing posture, did not have the slightest flaw. Coupled with the fact that there were also Nanako and Takashi next to her, Chen Xiaoxiao was completely unable to concentrate. Just as she became distracted, Nobunaga caught her hesitation. No one saw how his right hand drew the sword, only a white streak cutting through the air. And with the blade, Chen Xiaoxiao's leaping body snapped. Her waist was neatly cut open, and even the incision of the muscles and intestines were smooth as a mirror. Because the cut was so fast, she didn't even have time to feel the pain. Chapter 659, The Disappearing Gua Image. Nobunaga's blade was too fast. A master of the Iaedo style of swordplay, he could draw his blade so fast that it could split a bullet. As a swordsman of the Nichiryu school, he could also draw his blade at such a speed. After becoming an outsider, no one knows just how fast his blade is. However, one thing is recorded in Izumo, one of the two major organizations in the Neon. Among the 13 people in the Eclipse Moon, if ranked according to combat effectiveness, Nobunaga is second. Chen Xiaoxiao's two body segments were thrown into the air. This result made her pupils shrink violently. For the first time in her life, she felt such despair and powerlessness. Peng Li was also scared pale, but fortunately, the two beams of light of blessing in her hands were still connected to Chen Xiaoxiao. She shouted, and hurriedly dragged Chen Xiaoxiao's remains back. The two halves of the body were connected in midair by Peng Li's power. Fortunately, Nobunaga's sword was too fast, and the cut was as neat as a mirror surface, so it was quick to splice together. Chen Xiaoxiao stood on the ground with a pale face and staggering footsteps. Just now, all the blood in her body had gone cold. The clean cut was still visible at the base of her abdomen, a ring of blood slowly trickling down her pale skin. It looked as if the body had been sewn together with great difficulty, and she was worried that the slightest movement would cause the upper half of her body to fall off. Peng Li said nervously, "Don't move again. You're hurt too badly, it'll take time to heal you." But they both knew that they didn't have time. Right now, it was a matter of dying. What? It's just some random fish. Nobunaga put away his long sword with a face of utter disappointment. He was so disappointed. He had originally thought that he had encountered the elite this time. But who would have thought that they would be so weak? They weren't even worthy of him drawing his sword. Hurry up and finish them off. My wife Nanako said. Don't worry for now. Nobunaga looked up into the distance. Perhaps the real opponent has just appeared. The fog billowed, and several figures slowly walked out. Not bad, very keen intuition. The man leading the group gave a wicked smile at the corner of his mouth, and he tilted his head to look at Nobunaga Miyamoto, especially the katana in his hand. What era is this, still playing samurai games here? Peng Li and Chen Xiaoxiao saw them and shouted excitedly as if they had seen their saviors, "You finally arrived." The three people who came were exactly the members of the Tenjin squad. The man leading the way also held a knife in his hand, but it was a very, very big knife, heavy like a dark door. His face was tattooed with mysterious symbols, looking extremely strange and giving a feeling of unfathomability. At this time, Zhang Yi and a few others also arrived. Originally, Zhang Yi wanted Chen Xiaoxiao and Peng Li to lure out Eclipse, and he would settle the matter himself. But he never expected that the members of the Celestial Squad would arrive first this time. Xiao Tianyi, a member of the Celestial Squad, glanced at Zhang Yi and said in a cold tone, "You've wasted enough time, so we've been ordered to take over the battlefield." "Perfect, take these two useless women with you. And leave immediately. The next battle is no longer something that you, an outsider of this level, can interfere with." Liang Yu didn't say anything after hearing this, but just glanced at Zhang Yi. Zhang Yi's mouth corners curled up slightly. He spread his hands. "Since the professionals are here, there is no need for us to stay here. Retreat." After saying this, he looked at Chen Xiaoxiao and Peng Li, his gaze naturally falling on the terrifying wound on Chen Xiaoxiao's waist. "Can you still walk?" Chen Xiaoxiao had just been holding on for a long time. After all, she had been cut in half, and it would take a long time to recover. She pursed her lips, a little embarrassed to meet Zhang Yi's gaze. At this moment, she deeply regretted her initial, blind decision. Zhang Yi's caution was well-founded. They had both underestimated the strength of Eclipse Moon. Zhang Yi gave Fa Hua a wink, and Fa Hua came up to Chen Xiaoxiao, gently lying down next to her. Peng Li quickly helped Chen Xiaoxiao onto Fa Hua's back, and her hands never stopped healing Chen Xiaoxiao's wounds. Zhang Yi also did not delay here, and immediately left with his people, not wanting to get in the way of the immortals fighting. After walking for a while, he heard Chen Xiaoxiao's weak voice in his ear. "Zhang Yi, thank you." Zhang Yi glanced at her. "You don't need to thank me, it was just a matter of course." Chen Xiaoxiao's face was a strange red, partly from internal injuries and partly from shame. Peng Li, however, sighed with a sense of loss. "We came on this mission thinking we could make a name for ourselves, but who would have thought it would turn into a joke?" The huge gap in strength made them realize the reality. But they can't be blamed for this. After all, this was their first encounter with Eclipse Moon. The experience of running rampant and being invincible in their own city had made them overestimate their strength. Liang Yu, however, leaned over to Zhang Yi's ear and whispered, "Why didn't you intervene just now? With your strength, it shouldn't be too much of a problem to deal with the three of them, right?" Zhang Yi looked at her and asked in return, "Do you know what the other party's strength is?" Liang Yu was momentarily stunned, and then said, "No matter how strong they can't be stronger than you, right? You are the one who was able to ambush and kill even the original Kong Yi." Zhang Yi said, "That's because I planned in advance for a long time, collected a large amount of intelligence, and drove many people to be my pawns, before finally winning with difficulty. Remember, never underestimate any opponent. Don't rely on instinct to evaluate your opponent, and fight blindly with confidence. The reason we came here was out of the last trace of morality in our hearts. It wasn't to seek the limelight or gain any mission points. Since the Divine Squad has already intervened, let them fight to the death." Liang Yu looked at Zhang Yi's determined yet slightly lazy profile and couldn't help but burst out laughing. "I really can't see through you anymore." Zhang Yi said, "There's no need to see through me, just follow me in action." When they left, Nobunaga and the others didn't care at all. In their opinion, These people were just small fries, and the members of the Tenjin squad in front of them were the real opponents. But at this moment, the voice of Shigemono Shogo came from the minds of the three Nobunagas. Nobunaga, Ryuzaki, and Watase, are you three okay? Please respond if you receive this. The three Nobunagas glanced at each other, feeling inexplicable. Because Shigemono Shogo's voice was very anxious, as if something terrible had happened. Nobunaga responded, "We're fine." What happened? After receiving Nobunaga's response, Shigemaru Satoru let out a sigh of relief. He looked over at Takeuchi Mayumi, who was not far away, with her hands clasped over her head, a look of confusion and fear on her face, and slowly said to the three of them, "Just now, the three of you disappeared from Mayumi's divination,